Welcome to the roller coaster of Midlife Live. I'm your host, Lucie Q, and joining me, like she does every Tuesday, is the wonderful Holly Boxenhorn.
Hi, Lucie.
Okay, so before we hit record, you were telling me about a story that you weren't expecting to happen. Those unexpected life things that just kind of throw you for a loop. Yeah. And I'm going to say not 60 seconds later, I ran into one myself. So it's just one of those days where you have to just stop and just go, this is life. It's all good. Exactly. It's going to happen.
That's right, for sure. That I things that, and I think of the bigger shits that's going to happen, but like, it's the little unexpected things that you didn't see that one coming. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that one coming. That was definitely not on the radar.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun today. And you inspired me. Your blog that you sent out this week inspired me. And I'm going to encourage everybody, wherever you're listening or watching, make sure you stick around to the end, because I have a little surprise for Holly that I'm going to share at the end.
Oh, I'm excited. I don't know what that is.
So to start off with, I want to go back to the post that Holly shared. It was a blog post, right?
It was my weekly email. I send weekly emails out. So that one was my monthly. I do a monthly blog post and weekly email. So yes, that was a blog post. So that's actually on my website. So everyone could read that.
Okay. I'm going to put that link down below, but it was the first two lines that caught me. And you were saying about you had pulled down a pair of jeans and you were putting them on and you noticed that they were snug.
Yeah.
And you sort of referenced, and I'm sure many of us Gen X women can remember this. And it was those red tab Levi's jeans. Those were like
501s, the 501.
The thing, those red tabs, those are the things that you had to have. Yeah. But they had to be life-suckingly, what do you call it? Tight fitting, not just tight fitting. They were like,
exactly. Like we weren't paying enough with, like, we just had to torture ourselves, women. We just signed up for it all. Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, we were killing the ozone with our finesse hairspray.
Oh, don't you?
Big hair.
Believe that. Yep. Contribute.
Although I secretly want them to bring back big hair.
Oh, we had, when you said you had finesse, we had Aquanet. Aquanet, like the cheapest of hairsprays. And we would head out like on a Friday night. My poor father would be driving us, and all the girls like, and the whole man is ingesting all this hairspray. Too funny. Yeah.
And then we had, was it called, was that lip gloss? It was a clear lip gloss with that roly ball on it.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember those fondly, and they had different scents.
Yeah, I love the mint one.
Oh, what were they called?
That was another staple of the
definitely
80s girls. Yeah, so between our ultra glossy lip gloss,
yes.
Our big hair, it was the 501 jeans.
Yeah, it was.
And a lot of the time, as you said in your blog post, you kind of had to lay down on the bed and use a coat hanger through the zipper just to get them zipped up.
Yeah. And we actually stayed in those. Like, what were we thinking? How uncomfortable. Because in me, I'm all about comfort now. So like anytime anything, thank God for Zoom, because like, if I'm like, at least I'm like, let me undo that button. I'm like, I got to get more comfortable, because why do I have to have any kind of pressure on my stomach or any body part of mine? Yeah, exactly.
But back then,
I was sharing that. I was trying on one of my old favorite jeans, and I was like, oh shit, these are getting tight. I'm like, and I went right there. I was like, I'm like, here it is, the midlife paunch. I'm not going to be able to wear this kind of stuff anymore. I might need to start considering going up a couple of sizes, whatever it might be, and here I am, a coach. And, I can't help but go down that slippery slope of that abyss of, beating myself up, or being just actually not even so much beating myself up, but being self-critical. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, my weight started to change easily 8 years ago. So this is something I've been grappling with for a while. It slowly just started edging on, and I didn't understand why. Then you work out harder and then you make it worse. And I've been through all of that. So I'm kind of at a point now where I am a plus size woman.
Yeah.
I completely are. And I look at someone
Really
like Melissa
that.
McCartney.
I just applaud.
McCarthy.
I just applaud that level, like that. They're that accept, like here you are through the years trying to fight it, the diet. Like at what point are we just going to love ourselves and accept ourselves, and almost wear these things as badges of honors? Like the wrinkles, like we. These are things that I've birthed children, I've been around for a long time. Of course, the elasticity in my stomach and in my arms and and I'm an avid exerciser. I love to exercise, but, you can't fight against certain, changes within, our bodies, whether it's hormonal or our metabolism slowing down. It's just the fact that comes, it's the ugly side of aging, definitely, but it doesn't have to be. If we can learn to not resign ourselves to it, but accept it, if that makes sense.
And that's the hard thing and we still are sent constantly these messages where, I like TikTok, and I continuously see these messages being sent at me that are about, telling me that being my plus size in menopause is still somehow my fault. And get it, sure, there are things I can do, but I just want to live life. I don't want to beat myself up constantly. I don't want to. Yeah, sure, I do yoga and I walk and I do what I can, but you kind of have to get to this point where this is my body.
Yeah. And I think the other part of it is that we all have definitions of what healthy means to us, right? And who is anybody really to prescribe that? Yes, of course, part of aging powerfully is taking care of our physical health, but that doesn't have to do with size and measurement. It has to do with what we feed our body. It has to do with how we move our body. It has to do with going to the doctor, taking care of our health. It doesn't have to do with fitting into a particular size or measurements. It has more to do with well-being. That's how we age powerfully. And I think that's what I mean by there has to be this level of acceptance, not resignation. We don't have to resign ourselves to just, throw out the baby with the bathwater and just, say like, I'm giving up, I'm defeated, but accepting that, yeah, the fact is my metabolism is slowing down and I can't do anything about that. There is nothing that I can do about that. I no longer have progesterone and estrogen working for me. I don't have those things keeping my body revved. It's not there. And the fact is, I'm 54. My skin is aging. I have, it's the elasticity is not there. It's just not. It's like it's comical because I look at my daughter and you see this level of like tautness, and it's youth. It's just youth at its finest, and when you look back at pictures and you can see that, from other pictures, but yeah, this is what comes with aging, but we don't need to focus on that as being our definition, or again, resigning us to being like, actually, I'm going to give you a story that I had, or I remember going back a couple of years ago. I'm 54, so I was in my late 40s, and I was heading into a bagel store. And I was wearing sunglasses, whatever. I didn't have any makeup on. And the counter boy says to me, so how can I help you, ma'am? And I go, ma'am. I'm like, ma'am. I'm like, ma'am. I'm like, are you talking to me? I'm like, when did I become a ma'am? Like, was it my posture? Was my shoulders hunched over? And I had sunglasses on to boot. So I was like, I can't even see my wrinkles. You're like, what is it about me that makes me a ma'am all of a sudden? And I remember that day distinctly thinking, holy shit, I am entering the ma'am world, And in the beginning, it was really like ick, but now I'm like, nope, bring it on. Yes, I am a ma'am, and you should show me some respect. And I almost like now I go out carte blanche, like no makeup, hair on top of my head. I mean, I'm a scene. I don't care. I don't even.
I do that too. Because I used to be like, I wouldn't even go to the grocery store without like my hair done and my lipstick on, you know,
Right.
and that gets a bit exhausting. But
Totally.
I'm like, how many celebrities out there go incognito,
Right.
you know, with their hair in a ponytail, and we see all those pictures. Oh, this is what they really look like. But I'm like, damn, they're just chilling though. Like, why?
And then why do I have to be
So,
inconvenienced all
well,
the time
I
to get myself dressed and when I'm running errand? Like, why? For whom? Like,
I know.
to
So
please
I just pretend I'm a movie star incognito.
That's not a bad idea. I'm more. I'm not looking at myself. You're looking at me. So
but and that's the funny thing is, I think in my mind, the image I have in my mind of what I look like isn't the same as what I actually look like. And this is where I noticed it on Thursday. We were outside doing some preparations, just trying to get stuff done before the hurricane hit. And the hurricane was hitting on Saturday, but Friday we were supposed to get all sorts of torrential rain from just another storm. So we we're trying to get things ready, and it was hot and it was humid. So that day, all I had on was like a mini skirt. It was a cutoff jean skirt. I had on a tank top because it was bloody hot.
Yeah.
And it was wet, so I threw on my rubber boots. Like, I am talking, this is like right out of the fashion magazines, right? And it was pouring rain, so I looked like a drowned rat. And my husband was joking around, and he was doing this little video about hurricane prep. And he sees me trotting along in my wet tank top and that. And he's like, ooh, and now we have a wet t-shirt contest. So I started like joking around with my t-shirt and stuff like that, just being my goofy self. Didn't think anything of it until I saw the video a couple of days later. I'm like, oh, who's that cute little thing? Well, damn, that's not what I look like in my head, but oh well.
I'm so with you. Like, now like with social and taking pictures and candid pictures of you. There's a little bug here flying in my eye. I sometimes I'm like, I look at that, I was like, oh, that's not good. That is not a good look you got going on there. And my husband and I we laugh at it. Like we almost joke because I mean, I'm not a very photogenic person to begin with, even when I was younger, but like when we try to, I'll be like, listen, I need you to do this picture for me for social. And he's like, is this going to take long? I'm like, I can't promise you anything. Cause it's just like, every shot, I'm like, one eye is closed. This is that, and I'm like, and like you said, you're feeling like, oh, this is great. I'm smiling. I got it. We must have it by now. And then you look at it, you're like, yikes, not such a good look, Holly. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I wonder, am I delusional, or do I just have a really good self-image of myself?
I think it's a combination of both. No, I'm only kidding. I think it's that you have a good self-image of yourself. And I think you don't really give a shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, for me, it's about really not giving a shit anymore. It is exhausting, like you said. Like, why do I have to physically get on makeup and do my hair before I go to the supermarket? It's completely inconvenient. If I'm going to go food shopping and then maybe I want to work out later, why am I going to get myself dressed and ready when I'm just going to go sweat anyway? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Back in the day, I did it because I guess I felt self-conscious. I don't anymore. I genuinely don't. I know I don't look visually attractive with it, with no makeup on, my hair on top of my head, but I really genuinely don't care. I'm not trying to be offensive in any means, but I just don't feel, I don't have any desire to prove anything. I don't, if I want to look good, I want to put on hair and I want to do my makeup, I will. When I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I want to be comfortable in my clothes. And when they came out, I don't know how many years ago they sort of invented these, but when they started making jeans that are elasticated in the fabric instead of just being like the rigid.
Yeah.
And then they had like what they called the slim fitting waistband,
Yep.
which was basically no buttons. So they're basically yoga pants that look like jeans. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that.
That is cool, actually. I can get on with that. That's yoga pants that look like they look like jeans. They look like pants.
Yeah, they're jeans.
Yeah.
except for instead of having a waistband with a button and a zipper, it's got like on the inside, it's got like a thick elastic band. From the outside, it still looks like a proper waisted
Really?
jean.
I've never seen those before.
What?
I know, I don't. I've never,
Oh,
I need to talk, we need to talk about that.
yeah.
Why not? I especially, I mean, that was also the beautiful thing also about working on Zoom and working remotely from home. You know, you can be much more comfortable, you know, in what you're wearing and not worry about, you know, office attire or anything along those lines. But truthfully, you know, obviously, if I was going to an office, I probably would obviously get showered and ready. But I just honestly just have come to a point in my life that, you know, I want to do what makes sense for me.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes sense for me to get dressed and get ready, then I shall. But if it doesn't, then what am I doing it for? Like, you know, who do I, again, it goes back to, you know, the only one I really need to please is myself. You know, so
But
and again, you know what I mean? I think it's different for everybody. You know, this is a big topic of conversation with obviously my women that I work with, because there's so much changing. There's so
Yeah.
many physical limitations, not only the obvious on the face, but, you know, our bodies are changing up big time. And I get, you know, I don't want to minimize the struggle, you know, like I don't give a shit anymore. Because I just wrote an email saying like, oh, you know, that was disappointing that I couldn't zip my pants. Thankfully, I recovered from it fairly quickly, but you know, that might have been something that really would have tripped me up back in the day. You know, that where I would have gotten on the scale, I would have been like, okay, we need to, you know, think about what we're, no, it's not, it wasn't about that at all. It was just more like, bummer. Okay, this day has come to a close. We need to get another pair of pants. You know, and again, I'm not saying that I don't want to eat well. I don't want to move my body. I don't want to try to be the best version of myself, but I want to do it because it makes me physically feel better, not because it only makes me look better.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I think that resiliency that you're talking about, being able to bounce back, that comes from all of the other hard work that you do, that sort of inner work. Because that inner work, you know what, that can be tougher than your toughest workout, physical workout.
Oh, most definitely. You
Yeah.
know, going back a couple of years ago, I think I shared this with you. I had my hip replaced.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Oh yeah. So I was an avid runner. And I loved running all by my own, nothing like not with like competitively. But suddenly my time was off and I was in pain. So I thought I might have had a tear. And I went to the doctor and he's like, no, you have hip dysplasia. You're going to need your hip replaced. I actually need to do the other side still. So he said, you know, when it gets that painful, you know, you'll need to consider getting the hip replaced. And slowly but surely, about 3 years after that, it got to the point where I wanted to start with my left hip. And my running days are over. But that was like really like that was a big part of my identity, is an outlet for me. It was a huge adjustment to have to let that go and take on, you know, I had to modify, I had to find other outlets. And that's what I think is like, you know, how we can age powerfully. It's not, you know, giving out so I can't run anymore. No, I can't run anymore. But what else can I do that can still give me maybe that high, that adrenaline rush, that sweat, but I can be kind to my body and let it be able to go the distance. And I think the truth is, in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, we have to make these modifications. And it's a hard pill to swallow. It really is. Just as it took you a number of years to come to terms with the fact that, you know, it ain't about the diet or moving or more or that to, you know, to take off the weight. And it's a process. You know, it doesn't press a button. It doesn't happen that quickly, but to come to terms with those pieces of aging is definitely a hard thing. And I think it's also rapid. It happens very rapidly.
It does. It's like all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, where did this happen? But
Yeah.
I think it's because it happens slowly, and then all of a sudden it sort of accumulates to a point, and then we're like, oh, okay, wait a second, this is happening.
Yeah, it feels like kind of, you know, this wave that comes over us. And it's like suddenly we wake up and we're kind of like hit with the aging stick, I call. And it feels like, whoa, what just happened here?
Do you have to wear glasses? Do
I
you wear
do. I do. I have to wear glasses for reading and long distance. I can see well.
Okay, so I wear both. So
Yeah.
I can't, like, for me, I wear them when we're on these calls because I just can't, I can see the screen, but I just get a bit of a headache. But my prescriptions aren't that strong, either one of them. So my doctor said, he's like, there's probably no real point in going for some of those invisible bifocals right now, because you're just paying a lot of money for something you don't really need.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. But I remember telling you a while ago of my TV woes. It just wouldn't work.
Yes.
So
yes,
finally
yes.
we caved and we said, screw it. We went and got a new TV. But then you have to set the damn thing up.
Yeah.
And you have to program all your channels, all your streaming and all of that. So there I was trying to look at the remote control and trying to look at the TV. So I had my no, I got sick of back and forth. So I had my regular glasses here, and then I set my other glasses on top.
Yeah,
So,
I have both. Like my what do they call bifocals? Like I could see.
Yeah.
Right. But I have to tell you, when I'm up at my computer, if I wear them, I get nauseous because it's too just like.
Yeah, that's why I don't have them.
Right. So I have to whip them out all the time when we're looking with fine print or when I'm driving. And it's a nuisance. Like it's a real pain in the ass to keep whipping out these glasses just because I want to read the small print on something.
Well, I have the glasses that I wear to drive.
Right.
I also have prescription sunglasses.
Yes, me too. Me too.
And then I have readers. But if
Yeah.
I'm wearing my glasses and I look down at the dash, I can't see the numbers as well.
I know. It's funny. I did a post on this midlife icks, and one of them was that the annoyance with the swapping of the glasses and having to put them on. That everything just takes that much longer because your vision is going to go. And that was one of them. But yeah, I mean, listen. And I've talked about this before. There's advantages and disadvantages to every decade that we live in. But the truth is, that is the ugly side of aging, and it is something we ladies have to come to terms with. Our bodies are not the same, and nor are they operating the same. And taking care of our health really becomes paramount. There's no more back burnering it. In the past, we had our youth to pull us through late nights, maybe drinking too much or eating poorly. Now, like it wreaks havoc. You can't do that.
You got to take your vitamins.
Right.
You got to drink and that's the thing is that I drink a lot of water because I get thirsty.
Yep.
But because one of the woes that I discovered I know I've told you before about my ongoing uterine problems. Well, I went for an ultrasound, and it turns out that because of my C-sections, my bladder is tethered to my abdomen wall, which then has my uterus tethered to that. So they ended up all stuck together and glued to my uterine wall, which basically means that my bladder can't expand how it should. So when I have to pee, I have to pee.
Yeah.
Like you may be able to wait a while.
I'm very prone to urinary tract infections.
I get thirsty.
That's the other thing.
I drink water because I'm thirsty. Then I'm in the bathroom every 5 minutes because I've got no bladder.
That was the other thing that came with aging was my frequent bouts of UTIs. And, like my doctor's like, well, those vaginal walls are thinning. At this age. And I'm like, yeah, I know. If I hear one more time at this age, I'm fully aware. Thank you for sharing. So yeah, I actually, I take, I forgot what it is. It's something with an M. It's something prescriptive. It's almost like it's not an antibiotic, but it's an antiseptic to help keep my urine kind of clean so that I don't, because I was getting them so frequently that it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
So like, again, these are the wonderful things that come
dumbass shit.
Yeah. It's not a joke. It's really no joke.
Oh, it's not but it's like you're like, and my husband used to make fun of me because of how often I would suddenly have to pee. And even now I'll get up at least 3 times a night to pee because I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so after I got the results of my ultrasound, I said, you can't make fun of me anymore. It's now actually a medical condition.
And you should, because you don't want to give yourself a urinary tract infection and hold it in.
Well, literally, I can't. And the funny thing is that when I was supposed to go for this stupid ultrasound, they tell you to drink like 64 ounces of water.
And then you have to hold it?
And have it finished an hour before, like you have to drink all this water and it has to be done an hour before your appointment.
And you're not allowed to go to the bathroom?
No, because you have
that
to
is
have a full
cool.
bladder because it helps see your uterus more. I don't understand all
Oh,
the
that must have
technical.
been so painful.
Well, I practiced the day before just to see
If
if
you
it was
could.
possible, because I have a 45-minute drive to get into the ultrasound, right? Because of where I live. So I had to practice to see, okay, am I going to attempt this, or am I going to be at the side of the highway because
Right.
I got to pee? And I said to my husband, I'm like, there's no way. There is absolutely no way I can do this. I'm not even going to torture myself. They are just going to have to do this the best they can.
Right.
And
Good.
so finally, when I got there, and she said she didn't complain that my bladder wasn't like full
Oh.
how they wanted. And she was the one that pointed out, she's like, yeah, so you have to pee a lot and quite frequently, right? And I'm like, yeah. And that's when she started to
Wow.
tell me all of these other
Yeah.
things. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's not just me.
I mean, I'm laughing with you because after all, it's comical. Like the
You
things
have to laugh
I mean,
though.
Lucy, like I have to practice. Like these are the things we
I
already do.
have to practice
These are
not
the
peeing
things
my
that we
pants.
always used to now. But on a serious level, listen, we know how menopause can really wreak havoc, and some women suffer terribly, terribly.
Yeah.
We're joking and we're jesting about, the midlife punch, and we're, joking about the UTIs, which are serious in the bladder. But there are some women who are really suffering terribly through menopause, as we've talked about before. And so, we need to normalize these things so women can get help and support and not suffer through it. And even on the smallest level, like for my own self, how can I support myself when, I have to start realizing that, the midlife punch is a real thing, and, boo hoo hoo, sorry you, Holly, but, I have to learn to get support and deal with it and talk about it and learn to accept my body for all that it is, and look at my body in the mirror and still be happy with what I'm seeing. So on the small level and on the largest levels, it isn't a joke. It is something that us midlife women have to reckon with. And it's something that we also need to normalize and talk about, and not be ashamed that, we are struggling. And for those people who want the Botox and the nip tuck, go for it. If you're comfortable with that, there's no shame on that either. I'm personally just a scaredy cat when it comes to things like that. But, everyone's got to do what's right for them. But most importantly, take care of yourself, because that's how we age powerfully. That is really how we, is to take care of ourselves, because we can't backburn our health needs anymore. We just can't. We have to put ourselves in the forefront. We have to. We just have to. Yep. And that means peeing several times a day, and maybe getting off the phone quickly to use the bathroom, or the middle of the night, or in the middle of a conversation, and not saying, I'm going to hold it in and suffer here. All of that.
Oh, I can't. I pee my pants.
There you go. Yeah. Good old that. And you think that, it depends. And I can't. There was this exercise class back. This is a little embarrassing. This was this exercise class that used to use a trampoline, small trampoline.
Oh yeah, rebounding.
Not for me. I was urinating all the time. Like, I'm sorry, I could not take the class because that up and down motion.
Oh yeah, that would be torture.
I literally urinated on myself. See, I was like, oh, well, that will not be a class for me, because I couldn't, that bouncing motion
just thinking of that. Yeah. And it was funny. I was thinking about getting a rebounder because I was told that they're really good and they're this, that, and the other. And now I'm like, no, because I can't. Before we got started, when my computer was saying it wasn't plugged in, I had to run downstairs and get an extension cord. By the time I got back to the top of the stairs, I had to pee from running up the stairs.
But no, like honestly, like, I sneeze. Sometimes I sneeze. My bladder, is not the same that it used to be. So, like these are the like silly but serious like conundrums that we're like the things that we have. But
it's what you said, is that it's normalizing it. Because if we don't normalize it, there's somebody out there thinking it's just them, and there's something wrong with them, and they're disgusting, they're horrible, they're, whatever.
Yeah, you know what, the other part I want to bring up, because for women who might be suffering, I talk with a lot of clients who have this challenge, painful sex, painful intercourse.
Yes.
whether it's because they're dry or there's other issues, and there's help out there, guys. Like there is help out there. You should be able to, get support so you can enjoy having intercourse again and not eliminate this from your life anymore. Just because you're aging doesn't mean you can't be sexual anymore. There are struggles that are
there are. And I spoke to one woman recently who said it would have been more comfortable having sex with a hot curling iron.
I know. And I seriously, I hear it often. It's very painful for some women. I mean, again, I'll just keep it real. I do use a lube, because I am obviously postmenopausal, and that has helped me enormously. I tried low estrogen creams for a bit, based on my gynecologist recommendation. And unfortunately for me, not only am I prone to UTIs, but I'm prone to yeast infections. So having all that moisture down there for that long period of time, I had a raging yeast infection. So it wasn't for me, but I do know some people who do fabulously on the low estrogen cream that they insert vaginally. And it does it works out very well for them. But again, it's trial and error. You got to find what works for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, up till now, I don't have a problem in that area. Sure, it's not as moist as it used to be, but I don't have any sort of significant problems. I do take, I have a topical estrogen gel that I put on my, you either put it on your abdomen, your thighs, or your upper arms twice a day. And that's just, it's because I tried the patch. HRT, and my doctor switched it. I much prefer the estrogel, and I also take progesterone as well.
Yeah. Oh, good.
So I'm finding they're keeping me fairly well balanced.
Oh, that's great.
But I'm sure there might come a time, and and
that's
nothing wrong with a good old slip and slide.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing that I also work with women. I give them like this checklist, like on like health, to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, because a lot of times I hear from women is that their old habits aren't serving them any longer. What they did in their 20s and their 30s, even in their 40s, is not serving them anymore. And I'm like, stop trying to put, a square peg in a round hole. Like, it's not going to work. We have to change with our bodies. So you need to almost like every 6 months assess, like, am I still having the same effects from the food that I'm eating? Is it keeping my energy high? Is it fueling me? Am I finding dips? Like, you really need to, assess this, because our body is changing constantly. So it's important that we almost like scale ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10. How is my energy? How is my sleep? How am I feeding my body? Is it working for me? Am I drinking? Like, because suddenly things are shifting and changing, every 6 months to a year. Yeah. If not, maybe,
or even in some cases sooner, every 3 months.
Yeah. So you really need to keep tabs on that and move with it, change with it, and not get so stuck with the past stuff that served us, and realize, oh, I might need to try something different and emphasize. Yeah. So that's really important to also keep in mind, because it's going to constantly be shifting and changing. But if we get used to that ebb and flow, that, and we start taking care of this stuff now, we're on top of it, that as we move into our 70s and 80s, we'll shift, we'll move, we'll pivot, because we know that that's the best way to support
our bodies.
Yeah. And we have to stay savvy with it, because it's keeping us on our toes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Holly, are you ready for your little surprise?
Inspired
surprise?
Yes.
So, I was inspired to write a little story. I got a little help. I'm not going to take full credit on this, but I wrote you a little story in honor of your blog post. And I call this The Sisterhood of the Ill-Fitting Pants.
Well, I can't wait to hear this.
In a land not too far and not too near, a tale of midlife, let me share, do hear. With jeans so tight, a feeling so slight, midlife women, this story takes flight. One morning with the sun shining bright, a woman looked at her jeans with a slight fright. Once I slid in, oh, so sleek and svelte, now it feels like a tightening belt. With thoughts so grim and self-talk not kind, she spiraled down, feeling confined. Midlife has come with its tales and tricks, but am I truly stuck at this age of 46? She remembered the words from her coaching delight that our minds, our thinking can shift the light. For words, they have power more than we can see to shape our world, our destiny. Neuro, what? She questioned with a tilt of the head. Neuroplasticity, a voice nearby said. The brain so wondrous can learn and bend, and new pathways, new thoughts it can send. No longer bound by age's decree, the mind can grow like a grand old tree. With wisdom of years and power anew, aging is a gift to not just the few. She stood tall with eyes anew, seeing life from a different view. For she knew in her heart, deep inside, that age was just a number on life's grand ride. So the next time you think I'm too old, it's too late, remember this tale and change your fate. For with age comes wisdom and a strength so grand. Step into its power and make your stand. Celebrate each wrinkle, each silver strand, for life's journey is magical. Isn't it just grand? With each passing year, a new chapter unfolds. Embrace it with joy. Let your story be told.
That is amazing. That really, that just like makes me feel so good. I mean, you literally took my blog post and put it into this beautiful poem. You have to publish that.
Well, it's like for you. I'll give it to you. I'll put it in the notes, but you can share it.
I will share it.
It's based on your words. I'm not going to take full credit. It's based on your words and a little bit of help on my side.
I would say, oh, it's so great. I must have a copy of that. That
Absolutely.
is fantastic. That is inspiring stuff. I definitely got to get that out there for sure.
Got to have more story times.
Yes, for sure. We might have to do this. I'll be a regular.
Okay.
You're on spot now.
I do have another one that is similar to the book I'm writing.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're going to have to share it.
I will.
I love it. Okay, cool.
So there we go. That is the story. That is the
we're talking over each other.
That is the conclusion to our story. Is this is life, and we all have our story. Let's just celebrate them.
And it was so well said. That was a perfect way to end the live. Really fantastic. Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. And until next week, make sure you are embracing the journey of midlife. Take care.
So long.